I'm Greg, and you're listening to Totally Preventable.
Totally preventable.
Totally preventable.
Totally preventable. Totally preventable.
Totally preventable.
Totally preventable.
This episode contains content that may be alarming to some listeners. If you are not comfortable listening to a conversation about suicide, please skip this week's episode.
Today on our podcast, we're having Mark Collins.
Who's that?
Mark Collins is of the Chris Collins Foundation, and it's gonna be a good one. I will tell you, it's gonna pull at your heartstrings a little.
Really?
Yeah, when he talks about Chris. I only got a brief synopsis of Chris because of the website and some of the letters that were posted from friends.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure when Mark comes on to talk, we're going to get a deeper insight of the young man that Chris was. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm interested in hearing about the foundation and they offer any programs.
Yeah, they've got a good peer-to-peer program. It's all student-led. So,
Oh,
that's,
we love that.
yeah,
Yep.
the magic words over here. So
Yeah.
pretty interested about how they get engagement.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Can't wait to hear more.
Without further ado, today with us on the Totally Preventable podcast, we have Mark Collins, who, along with his family, founded the Chris Collins Foundation. So we are very eager, very happy to have you on today. How are you, Mark?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
That's great.
Welcome. It's great to have you.
To start this off, can you tell us about Chris?
Oh, absolutely. I might take up the whole time we have allotted for the podcast. Chris was 20 years old when he died by suicide in 2018. He was a graduate of South Kingstown High School, and at the time he was attending Amherst College. He was a music and math double major. He was just an extremely wonderful person. He was very caring for his families and friends. They meant the world to him. He's a very talented musician. He played guitar and piano. He wrote songs. He wrote music. Talented athlete. He was an all-state baseball player and was playing on the college team at Amherst. He was just somebody that all of his friends seemed to turn to, when they were struggling. And that's something we didn't learn until after he died, and we received hundreds of letters from his family and friends, and so many of them talked about how Chris was open with his struggles, but also was the person that a lot of his friends turned to when they were struggling. And when we found that out, that's really when we knew we had to do something to continue that work that he was doing. And that's where we got the idea to start a foundation and to try to use it to help other youth who might be struggling with mental illness, and to really try to get the word out, increase awareness, and decrease stigma regarding mental illness. So Chris, as I said, was someone who was open with his struggles and shared with his friends what he was going through, and in a way was helping to educate them, which is also what our foundation is doing. So he was just a really remarkable guy. He just, he didn't want to be the center of attention, but as one of his friends wrote, he was the person everybody gravitated to in a room. He just had that personality and that care and concern. He's the type of guy that another friend wrote, who was new on the baseball team and was in the lunch area at school, and a bunch of the other upperclassmen baseball kids were all sitting together when this particular younger kid walked in, and just so happened they were all getting up and leaving at the time, and Chris was leaving, and he saw this other guy come in and sit down, and Chris went over and sat down with him and just see how he was doing. And that's really just the kind of guy he was. Had a great big smile and a great big heart, and love to share that with everybody.
Nice. So can you tell us about this foundation that has developed in his honor and its mission?
Yeah, so we started it, as I mentioned, really shortly after his death, and really wanted to try to continue what he was doing. And so I wanted to look around and find, some type of program to help youth. And I didn't, really find anything locally. So, I started searching online and found this peer-to-peer program that the University of Michigan started back in 2009, and read about it, and it was everything about it was just what we all were looking for. It's a student-led program. It's evidence-based, and it's been proven to reduce stigma in schools, to promote early help seeking, educate students about mental health and mental illnesses, and then it teaches the students who are involved in the peer-to-peer program how to create campaigns so that they share everything they learn in a training conference that we sponsor at the beginning of the school year. So they take everything they learn back and create a campaign. So they are sharing, all this knowledge about mental health and mental illnesses with their peers. And this program is based on some scientific evidence that shows that peers are more likely to listen to each other than they are a well-meaning adult. And of course, students they spend a lot of time together in schools and after school activities, social media. So it's really, a group of friends who are going to notice if something's changed about something, or maybe somebody's struggling. And this program really helps them to learn how to approach them, how to talk to them, how to support them, and most importantly, how to help them, find help, whether it be in school with a counselor or outside of school. And the program is very, clear in training the students that they're not counselors and they're not meant to fix anybody's problems. They're meant to be educators and activists and supporters.
Good friends.
So it's really been incredibly successful here in Rhode Island. We started in 2 high schools. Shortly thereafter, a few years into it, we added a 3rd high school. This was kind of right around when COVID was with us, so it was tough to continue to expand. But this past September, we added 7 more schools. So now we're at 10 schools in Rhode Island. Yeah, it's really incredible.
That's amazing.
Wow. The effort. I mean, you said the first year was 2 years, then 2 schools, and then the next year 1 school, and then boom, 7. That is wow, congratulations on that. What do you attribute the rapid growth to? Especially it being youth-led, or excuse me, I should say student-led. It's hard to get students into clubs, and then when they're into a particular mental wellness or mental health wellness or mental illness type of thing, how what do you attribute that success to?
I think the students are really seeking out something like this, and that's something we heard from a group of Chris's friends as well when we went to college the day after he died and met with a lot of his friends, and a number of them said, we need to do something to help each other. There's got to be something we can do to help each other. And I think students are feeling that across high schools and middle schools. Obviously mental health and mental illness has been in the news a lot, especially through the pandemic. And certainly it was already a crisis before the pandemic, but that's only increased. So I think it's just something that the students know is an issue in their age group, and they want to learn more about it and they want to help each other. And certainly the adults in the schools and in communities feel the same way. And so we get a lot of our a lot of the schools that have joined us have reached out to us. They've heard about the program, whether it be in the news or from a colleague at a different school, and they reached out to us and said, we want to learn more about this. How do we start this in our school? And so there's just, unfortunately, an overwhelming need for it. And because it's a student-led program, it's been very popular because it's proven to work. So the kids stay in the program year to year because they enjoy it for so many reasons. They're able to create this campaign with their peers, and it's not something, certainly there are adult mentors that are part of the program that, help keep things organized or, help maybe reel in the grand plans that some of the students may come up with. but they make the decisions, and because they know what they need and what their friends need. And a lot of times it's also, a safe place to, talk about what they might be going through. And we've heard from some of the students that it's, it's their favorite part of the week is to get together with their friends in this peer-to-peer meeting. So
That's huge.
Has this peer-to-peer meeting developed on its own, or have there been student-led groups that are like, oh, we would like to bring the Chris Collins Foundation in because we want to go that route?
a little bit of both. There, unfortunately, there was a suicide at Charo High School a year ago. Allie Nelson died by suicide, and there were some members of the peer-to-peer group in South Kingstown who, knew Allie or were friends with their family, and immediately reached out and said, we need to bring this program to Charo. How do we do that? And so it's, sometimes it's student-led. We had a student in Westerly who had heard about the program and wanted to do his senior project on mental health and the peer-led program. And so he emailed the foundation. And then other times, like I mentioned, it's some of the adults in school who've heard about it and want to bring it in. So it's a little bit of both.
I did see on your website that you had a little clip about campaign to change direction and the 5 signs of, and we're a big fan of campaign to change direction. We just love the simplicity of it and just
Right.
like what to look for, like you see this guy every day, all of a sudden he's doing something different. Reach out, ask what's going on.
Exactly. Yeah, it's so important. And it's once you kind of break the ice and learning about that and that you can do it, and you learn a little bit about what to say and just as importantly, what not to say.
Yep.
It really becomes such a somewhat simple and important thing that we all can do every day.
Right. Yeah.
What's something that you want you to take away from the peer-to-peer and from the Chris Collins Foundation?
Oh, a lot of things, but I think most importantly, that it's okay to share your struggles with other people. You don't have to worry about what other people might think. That mental illness is just as important as physical illness. So, if you were to have heart disease or, God forbid, cancer, you would seek help, you'd seek treatment, and it wouldn't be something you would hide from family or friends because they're going to support you. So we really want people to know that a mental illness, depression or anxiety or bipolar or whatever it may be is a true illness. It's not a personality flaw. It's not something you can just fix by snapping out of it. It's an illness, and so to treat the illness, everybody's different. Different things help different people, whether it's medication, whether it's therapy, whether it's music therapy or art therapy. Learning coping skills is so important, and as with other diseases, it's kind of a combination of things that help. So we want students to learn that, to share it with other people, and that will really eliminate the stigma around it, and something we can talk about every day, which the peer-to-peer program promotes, with this campaign and all the different things the students are doing in their school, every week with it. So it's something that can be talked about and shared, and there can be support and learning and hopefully very soon a elimination of suicide. I'm not sure it's totally preventable, like other illnesses. No matter what you do, sometimes there may be a sad outcome, but I think it is something that can be reduced to almost zero with education and treatments and so forth.
I really like the fact that you said it could be a combination of treatments. I think that in a lot of circumstances, especially with students, you'll try one thing, didn't work, and that's it. I tried it, done. And
Right.
it could take multiple, or it could take a combination of things to get you to that right state of mind. So I really like the fact that you brought that up, because I think it's something that's overlooked when talking about different
Yeah.
illnesses, period.
Right.
Yeah. It's,
Yeah, and
I was
recovery.
going to say it's very, very frustrating, unfortunately, with mental illness, because a lot of the science behind the medications hasn't come far enough where they know what medication might help. It's a little bit of a guessing game, and you try one, and maybe if you have some family history and you know a certain medication helps somebody else in the family, well, you start with that one, and if that doesn't work, as you mentioned, you have to wean off of that and then start another, and that is extremely frustrating for students and adults. But the good news is science is catching up, and there are a lot of exciting possibilities with blood work and genes and so forth, where they're really getting close to being able to identify, maybe with a blood test, how to determine which medication is going to help each individual person. And that certainly will go a long way to taking some of that frustration out of the equation, and then helping with that combination of treatment.
I read that there's a Chris text line. And I love that, because kids are always texting, young people are always texting. So I would think that would be a well-used resource.
Yeah, are you referring to the crisis text line?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Right. Yeah. No, it's definitely a very important tool, that, and 988, the suicide hotline, are extremely important, and that's part of the program with the peer-to-peer, and part of the things the students try to share with their peers are the different resources. They learn as part of the program all the resources in their school and also in their community, and then also on a national level, so that if they do notice a friend is struggling, they're very knowledgeable in where can we turn for help, who's a trusted adult, or what's a hotline we can call, or what's a community resource. And those are all extremely important.
So Mark, did my bad eyesight mislead me? It's you don't have a special text hotline that's called the Chris hotline? It's called the crisis hotline on your
Right.
website?
No. Yeah.
Geez,
Yep.
I keep saying I need to get my eyes checked, and I was reading about Chris, and I was like, oh, how fun. It's called the Chris text line. Right on.
Yeah. I'll say, I kind of, maybe you've stumbled on something
All right.
there.
My old peeper is failing me once again.
Hey, you might get royalties if he comes up with that.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
Well, we're not therapists. So unfortunately, I'm not sure we could have a Chris text line where we could help people, but maybe there's something else we could do with it. Maybe something fun we could do with it. Share a positive mental health tidbit each day, or
Some music.
the music. Yeah, absolutely.
oh, we're stumbling on something
We are-
exclusive.
here we
That's right. That's right. We have to make sure the totally preventable podcast gets a little piece of the royalties.
All
go.
right.
One of the messages you could get could be from Greg and I. We
Yeah.
could do a little
Absolutely.
People might hang up quick.
little singing.
Is there a lot of commitment for a student who joins the peer-to-peer program? Is there, because with students these days, they have just so much on their plate. Is there a large commitment to join the peer-to-peer?
Right. Yeah, no, we're very aware of that. And certainly the last thing we want to do is, to have this program add stress to their lives, because they all are extremely busy. And so one of the greatest things about this program, as I mentioned, started by the University of Michigan Depression Center, and they have a resource website on which are campaigns that previous schools have done over the last 5, 6, 7 years. So students are encouraged to use that, and they literally, as they're building their campaign and talking amongst each other and brainstorming, they can literally copy and paste what another school has done for their campaign. And maybe they just change a school logo or a school color, But it can be that easy. And because the University of Michigan is part of this program, they mentor the students throughout the school year, and they're available for questions, and they want to review the campaign to make sure, everything about it is accurate and so forth. And they give input as to, well, this has worked in the past, and, this maybe other groups have struggled trying to accomplish. They can, make it as simple as they want, and reusing something that somebody else has already done, or they could use that resource to maybe brainstorm their own ideas. And it is important to, we make sure they're paying attention to what's going on in their school, because certainly in some schools they may need to or want to, focus their campaign on a specific area. But yeah, no, I mean, I think students feel, because the groups might range in size from 8 students to 25, depending on the size of the school. But they're encouraged to kind of divide up tasks, and certainly they're told if you're busy, or if things are becoming overwhelming with your schedule, you don't feel obligated to come to every meeting. Certainly can keep up with others in the club, via texting or online Google Docs and different things. So we try to make it as flexible as possible, and stress-free as possible.
If I am a teacher or a student listening and I'm like, wow, our school could really use this, I would assume you first need an adult that will take on this responsibility. What qualifications does that adult need? Do they need any special training? Do they need to have any special qualifications at the school, or just be over 18 and responsible?
Yeah, no special training. Certainly with a lot of the schools and clubs, we see that, there's generally a student assistance counselor who is involved, or maybe a school social worker, but there are also, teachers who are involved, or other school personnel rather. And they, along with the students, receive the training at the beginning of the year from the University of Michigan staff, who actually, fly out 4 team members from Michigan to run that day-long seminar, where they really learn about the program, they learn how to implement the program, and the Michigan folks stay in touch with the mentors throughout the school year to answer questions, make suggestions. So there's really no special training that has to be done with it, which is great, because another thing we try to do is try to get a real diversified cross-section of the school involved with the program, because we want to make sure it reaches everybody. So maybe there's a popular teacher who would be a good mentor, because a lot of students look up to that person. Or maybe, like I mentioned, a social worker or a student assistance counselor is a good person, because they're kind of, a strong resource for the program. So can really be anybody.
Awesome.
With mental illness affecting the whole gamut, there's no, I mean, it can be as young as, I don't even know anymore. You see so many cases of help that's needed all the way up through adulthood. Is there a target audience, a target age range or grade range that the peer-to-peer program is geared towards?
Yeah, I think, well, it's geared mostly toward high schools and middle schools.
Okay.
Certainly there are other programs that do similar things with college level students. But I think part of the science behind this program is that most mental illnesses, a very high percentage of them start in the middle and high school years. So this program is geared toward that age group, and geared toward, as I mentioned earlier, educating, supporting, and promoting that early help seeking. Certainly the early help seeking promotes a better outcome, as opposed to, an illness that is affecting somebody for many, many years before they really seek help. So.
Okay. And what what does it take for a school to become a peer-to-peer? Does it just become a peer-to-peer program? I think that's what I'm looking to say. How does a school become involved?
Yeah, yeah. And the best way would be, they can certainly go to our website, which is chriscollinsfoundation.org. And we have a lot of the peer-to-peer information on the website, including, a way to contact us. And one of the biggest things that we're fortunate to be able to do through, all of the fundraising we've done is we try to take all the financial responsibility for the program in each school, so that way that finances are not a stumbling block as they can be a lot of times for school programs, unfortunately. So the Chris Collins Foundation pays, for the training. They pay for the busing for the students to come to the training. Each school group gets a budget for the school year to put on their campaign, so they're able to, print T-shirts, have guest speakers, make posters. So all those costs are paid for by the foundation. So really, it's just a matter of reaching out to us and learning more about the program and just see if you think it would be a fit in your school. And we'll pretty much pay for everything. So
Does it?
Go ahead. No, I was just gonna say, I love this model. Like, I just love it because it's youth talking to youth is the best way to communicate information. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
having us old people with bad peepers trying to tell you what's up just not work.
Now, does it take long from point of contact? Does it take long for a school to get up and running? Is it like, if I call you now, is it not until next semester, or is it a shorter time period?
Yeah, generally we start the schools in September because that's when the training seminar is. Certainly when we first started the program in 2018 and started meeting with the first couple of schools, South Kingstown High School and Narragansett High School, I was meeting with a number of people in the late spring prior to September, just to kind of introduce the program and answer questions and, jump on a phone conference with the folks in Michigan. So now, with Zoom, we're able to do that even a little easier. We haven't had a school start kind of mid-year yet, but I think if a school was interested, certainly we could start providing maybe posters or different information about the program and get some positive mental health information in the school, in addition to what they probably already are doing, and use that as a way to start introducing the program and kind of recruiting students who might want to be involved with the full program the following September.
All right.
Well, thank you. Do you have more questions?
I did.
Oh, hey, Greg.
I'd like to know. Not yet. Yeah. What is your vision? What do you see as your next 5 years, next 10 years? What's the vision of the Chris Collins Foundation? Where do you want to see this program get to?
Right. Well, I think one of the biggest things we'd love to do sooner rather than later is to, grow the program kind of from the schools into the communities a little bit and find a way without, again, putting too much stress on the students, and find a way for them to bring the program out to the community and share what they learn and share what they're doing. And certainly we do that a little bit. We try to encourage, newspaper stories and photographs and so forth, and certainly share a lot of what the students are doing via social media. A big part of the program is their peer-to-peer group generally starts a social media account, Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, and they're sharing what they're doing via that platform. So I think that I'd like to try to find a way to build on that in the communities. And then I think down the road, a big dream of ours has been to, maybe have some type of center, where the Chris Collins Foundation calls home, and that can be a place where youth from around the state can come for training conferences, come together to learn throughout the school year or summer, even, more importantly, when they're away from school and kind of away from that support network, to have a place to go. And we'd love to, have programs in music therapy and art therapy, nature therapy. Chris and our family was very big into being outdoors and hiking, and certainly that, but for us, was always very good for our mental health, and really helps a lot of people to get outdoors. So we'd love to have a place where we can do a lot of those things and offer different programs to, not only the youth, but to anybody in the community.
Now, are your programs and even I guess I could say even with the training, the seminar, is that available in multiple languages, or at least Spanish, or is it not yet?
Right, not yet, but that is something that we have looked into a little bit. This past year, we started the program in Woonsocket, in West Warwick. So certainly that, as we continue to expand, that is something we want to look into, and whether it's as simple as translating the materials into other languages, or just having interpreters at the trainings. So I know there are probably a number of ways we can do that, and we need to continue to look into that and make sure we're able to reach everybody, and that there aren't any barriers to the program.
Is this program only available in Rhode Island?
No, it's as I mentioned, it started in Michigan. So the University of Michigan developed the program back in 2007. They had, I think, a series of suicides, and the college wanted to try to partner with the Ann Arbor schools to help them through the grief and through educating students as to how they can be advocates for each other. And so they started that relationship, and then 2 years later, they had developed this peer-to-peer program, and they have been running it there in Ann Arbor and surrounding communities since 2009. When we found the program, I believe they might have had one other program outside of Michigan, but we were really the first to come in and say, this is something we want to bring to Rhode Island, and bring to a few schools to start, but then also continue to grow. So I think they've reached, this past year, the peer-to-peer program in all has reached 50 schools. They're in some schools in New York, some in Ohio, quite a few obviously in Michigan, but now 10 in Rhode Island. So it's something that can be done anywhere. I mean, any school could contact the University of Michigan about their program. The information is free for anybody to use. So it's just a matter of finding the funding for the parts of it that cost money, like the training and so forth. But definitely can be available anywhere.
How has this helped you and your family, putting this together, and then seeing this idea out of a tragedy start to blossom as much as it is? How has this helped you?
I think for me, it keeps me closer to Chris, knowing that we're trying to continue something that he was doing that was so selfless and and so loving. And I really feel that he is still doing it. I mean, he's doing it through us, and we're just along for the ride in a way. And I feel like he is still helping so many people, and we know he is, because we hear that from so many people. So it certainly helps to be doing something positive, as you mentioned, out of his tragic death, and certainly be helping other people, so there are other families that hopefully won't have to go through this with their loved ones. So to be able to do something positive helps us all get out of bed in the morning, and it helps certainly to have Chris's name on a foundation, and to have his his legacy, live on. It's important because he was such a wonderful person. And, years from now, as we continue to do this, there'll be people who obviously never met Chris, but will be able to, learn about who he was. And we have had a number of people who, look through their website and read some of the excerpts of the letters that his friends wrote and get involved with the program and say they really do get a sense of who Chris was as a person. And that means a lot to us.
That's awesome. For that, I know you said, I'm sorry, I'm bombarding
That's okay.
questions.
You
In a previous answer, you were saying how you want to get more of you want to be more in the community and not just in the schools. Are you at a place now where different community organizations can partner with you to help spread this? And if so, what is the process to become a partner?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we have worked a lot with a lot of the mental health resources around the state. Each August, first Saturday in August, we put on a football tournament. An idea one of Chris's good friends had shortly after he died, and we started the foundation, and he came up with this idea as a way to raise money. So we've been holding this wiffle ball tournament every year, and it's just a really fun way to get people from the community to come out and have a good time with their families and friends. And the most important part for me is, we bring in 10 or 12 different resources from around the state who set up tables with information about their programs, from Bradley and Butler Hospital to Friendsway in Warwick, a lot of different groups. And through that, we've met a lot of the different groups and, partner in a way that when we hold events, we invite them to come and vice versa. Certainly there have been a number of groups like Rotary clubs and women's clubs and other clubs that offer small grants to nonprofits that we have worked with. So, we're open to work with anybody to help further the spreading of awareness about mental health, and always open to receive a phone call or an email from somebody who, has a great idea or who wants to be a part of what we're doing. So I'd be always happy to join forces and coordinate with other people in the community.
I absolutely stink at wiffle ball.
Oh, I was just going to say that we do get a wiffle ball
We
team
can
here in the
get a
office
team.
and head over.
But don't if I can't cork my bat with duct tape on the end, I put all my power into the swing and that ball go not even to the pitcher.
Yeah.
It's not.
Well, I mean, there are a lot of teams like that participate, and it's really just a fun time. And this past year, it's grown so much. I mean, past year we had well over 250 people who came out for the day.
Wow.
And so we started just a fun division of wiffle ball players, and then also a competitive division rather. So it's fun for everybody.
Wow, a competitive division. I must really stink.
Yes, there's some serious players out there, that's for sure, without a doubt.
Hey, and wow. Now I really want to start practicing. Next August, we'll be there.
Please, yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
We'd love to have you.
You got any more questions, Karen?
I think I'm set. I think I've
Questioned out?
I've questioned out. I mean, I've learned so much. I know that I'm gonna want to know more. Now the hearing about the events and things along that nature. I did read about the wiffle ball event, but we'd love to be part of the ongoing growth of the Chris Collins Foundation. So we will definitely be in touch as a community organization ourselves who are you in the Newport County? I should ask. You said there were 7 new schools. Are any in the Newport County area?
Not yet, no, but we would love to be. So yeah, anything you can do to help us expand or get in touch with the right people and some of the schools over in Newport County, we'd be happy to join forces with you So
We will certainly share this information.
Be prepared.
Yeah.
Don't say,
thank
"Oh,
you.
email from Greg and Polly."
No, thank you.
Well, this has been a great conversation. Really excited about any kind of peer-led program, but this is so needed now. I think there's a lot of young people really struggling, really trying to reach out and worried about the stigma around it. But I also see hope. I also see a lot of young people willing to share their struggles. And so I really hope that we can get some Newport County schools on board and more.
I hope so too. And I think this generation really seems to be a great generation for a program like this, because I think they are more open and understanding than maybe we were at that age, and more accepting of who a person is and what differences they might have, or so I think, and we've seen this in the groups we work with, they just seem more open and understanding, which is great. So, and I think that bodes well for the future and the stigma reduction.
Yes, here's hoping. Yes.
That's right.
Yeah, right.
Thank you so much for joining us.
So much.
Well, thank you both. Yeah, I really appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
I'm Polly, and you've just listened to Totally Preventable.
Totally preventable.
Totally preventable. Totally preventable.
Totally preventable.